there just a little longer. And it says we are live with Rei Rei and ZenJen for Thrive Time and Interconnected Collective. How are you, Rei Rei?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm doing well. We're doing something new today. We are
Absolutely.
using this software that is live streaming on multiple platforms simultaneously. This is like a brand new thing, and it's what we're using for the Soul Tingle in 4 days that you are a contributor of.
Absolutely.
I'm it's exciting. It's
It
exciting. I'm
is.
going to check in and make sure that it's going through just fine on a couple of different platforms.
Let me see as
And
well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I see us in my group. I'm going to check yours. So Ray Ray's group is the CE5 World Contact Blue Orca Pod group.
Yeah,
This
yeah, yeah. It actually is working, yeah. That's awesome. That's
Yay!
awesome.
We did it. This was Ray
Well
Ray's
done.
idea. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I
I'm
didn't
so
think it would
excited.
actually work, but there we go.
We did it. You helped me do it. You know how much I've been
Well done.
struggling like all week with this shit? And we got this thing going today. This is
Awesome.
like speaking to a deeper kismet sort of functionality between our two soul signatures, I feel. What do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, like Ray Ray has it going on with his natal charts, y'all. He is on point with his expertise and his wisdom that he's like this abundant pool of knowledge that when he starts talking about all of the different aspects in your chart and telling you about like, oh, well, this is why this is why you were a tomboy when you were a kid. And like, this is why you are like, driven more towards like this kind of focus versus this one. He's blowing my mind, and it's kind of it's crazy that he does this for people all over the world, and he does it with absolute precision because I mean he has repeat customers from like other countries that I mean people get readings with you on a regular basis, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing I've been an astrologer for over 13 years now, but I only really started charging for readings about 3 years ago because I thought my skills level wasn't high enough before that. But yeah, ever since I've been doing these readings, I just seem to be getting better and better. And a lot of people define astrology as some kind of logical, mathematical kind of science. But what I've found is that it's more intuitive than anything, because you've also got to tune into the consciousness of the client as well
Hmm.
to really see where they're at in their journeys. So, like, for example, you, Jen, could have a Venus and Aries in the 10th house like you do, but then somebody else could have the exact same, but it depends on what level of consciousness you're using that planet. You know what I mean? Like there's different
Mm-hmm.
expressions of the same placement. So I think a good astrologer is somebody who's able to do that. So it's definitely an intuitive kind of science.
Yeah,
That's what
that
I've
makes
found.
perfect sense to me. I really like that because it really connotes that this kind of skill it's really it's has nothing to do with the tool of the chart itself. I mean, that is a tool that you can use and it's certainly a valuable one.
That's just a
But
guide. That's just a
right.
guide. But at the end of the day, it's the the information is coming through the astrologer themselves. So like the astrologer is like a translator of like the language of the stars, unto earth, heaven unto earth, so to speak. So yeah, it's been a fascinating journey, and long may it continue.
Yeah, yeah, I imagine it has been. What is it that got you started on doing this? Because you don't do just natal chart readings. I mean, I've
Yeah.
I've talked to quite a few astrologers that do this. You do galactic star seed readings,
Oh
and
yeah.
this is something that people really flock to you for specifically
Yeah.
because they're
That's a
looking
popular one.
for.
That's a
Yeah,
very
their
popular one.
heritage, their galactic heritage. This is something that speaks very deeply
Mm,
to them and what they want to know more about.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been interested in space, the stars, aliens, or extraterrestrials since I was a kid, to be honest. I remember sitting on my father's shed when I was like 6 years old with a pair of binoculars in my hands looking for, spaceships in the sky. Like, I've always been really passionate about the paranormal and all things like that, ghosts and other dimensions and stuff. My mother even used to buy me this magazine called The Unexplained, The Mysteries Beyond Time and Space when I was like 6 years old, and it was like for adults. I
Hmm.
obviously couldn't really understand most of what it was saying back then, but no one had to tell me that extraterrestrials existed. I always just innately knew this. I've always been connected in that sense. And I think when we're children, we're more connected to our purpose and our destiny because we're unconditioned by our environment. But what happened was I went through a dark tunnel like everybody else does, where I completely lost myself in society. I ended up on drugs and everything like that. And that continued from the ages of 14 to 23, really. And it wasn't until a divine experience that I had in 2010, which was triggered, by the way, as a result of looking at the Sirius star. I think its photons, its light, triggered something in me, activated me because I had a huge Kundalini awakening that night, and I woke up a completely different version. I think it was a walk-in, and really a walk-in isn't another soul coming into your body. It's just you jumping to another timeline, basically. And
Wow.
I've been clean. I've been clean ever since of all substances. So that's over 13 years now as a result of that experience. Following that, I had other Kundalini awakenings as well. But really, I feel like I've come full circle because my love for the stars and space and extraterrestrials as a kid, I've come full circle. I've come back to that, but from a higher expression now. So my love for the stars, for example, has turned into astrology. Now I can read the stars. I can decode the language of the stars, so to speak. Um, and I also used to write short stories as a kid as well. I'm now an author. I've got two books out. So yeah, I feel like I've come full circle and realigned with what I've always innately known to be my purpose.
You've transmuted that trauma and you've shined a light into that darkness that was, transcribed as your human avatar experience here on Earth. And you've done so in this way that I feel very aligned with, because there's this humble quality that you're able to, you step into your own self-empowerment without this like grandiose version that, I mean, I've worked with spirit-led leaders for quite some time in the work that I've
Yeah,
done. And I mean, I love your readings. I love your particular flavor of what it is that you provide in insight and how it is you deliver it. Whether it's just like face to face like this,
mm,
or in a written report, a reading, it's very insightful, and it's very it's very thorough, and it's professional. And there's this flair of like, that this guy's not, he's not bullshitting you, like, it, like you feel it like inside of your bones when you develop that intuitive sense of your sacral sense of knowing, is what I call it.
yeah,
That when you get this information about your own heritage and your own chart and your signature of as a personality and as a person delivered, that there is this kismet connection that you feel is real, and it's exciting and it's igniting. And I've thoroughly enjoyed just like how it is that we've connected. There's been like so many different synchronistic circumstances that have led us to an intersect.
Oh my god, yeah, it's been crazy to be honest. Like, I do believe that we have certain agreements on a soul level with people. They'll come into our lives at a certain point. to help maybe activate us in ways that we're not yet activated ourselves. That can definitely happen between kindred souls, and it's happened to me a few times over the course of my life, and it seems to be happening with you as well. So, thank you for coming in to my life. Like the lucid dream I had, for example, like I had the most lucid dream I have ever had before. Like I
Yeah.
usually have dreams about flying and stuff all the time, like where I'm in control and I'm flying and I'm going left and right and I feel like a superhero. But this one was another level to even that. I was in my mother's home and somebody knocked on the front door, and when I opened the door, it was Jen. She was standing right there, and the moment I looked at Jen, I knew obviously that she was in the USA. So I was like, why is she here? And that knowing all of a sudden made the dream become super lucid. I looked down at my hands and I said to myself, wow, I know that I'm dreaming right now. And I had complete control of what was going on. Like
Oh, wow.
I was looking around at the reality, and it looked just like the physical reality, but I knew it wasn't. But then Jen said to me, "Where do you want to go, Ray Ray?" And we walked down the street together, but it was just so lucid and it was crazy. Yeah,
Oh,
I loved
wow.
it.
That's amazing. Like, because you've awakened my dreamscape reality as well. I've gone for quite some time in I'll call it a state of dormancy with my
Yeah.
dreamscape,
Mm.
sojourning explorations. Like, there's been quite a few dreams that I've had, and I intend to write my own stories about them
Mm.
that they were epic in their own right. I'm not certain if they were that of a past life of mine, or if they were, they're like a simultaneous life happening in another version of the now, or if it's something entirely different that I was just tapping into. But they were, it changed my life in a myriad of ways. But I will say that my dreamscapes have like opened up in this whole cosmic way. I used to see the color blue that is that's used in your blue orca group, that real rich blue. I used to see it when I closed my eyes as a child.
Yeah.
I remember getting in
Yeah.
trouble
Yeah.
in grade school because I would just close my eyes and it would like swirl in my entire subconscious, and
Mm.
I would just immerse myself and kind of just blend in with the consciousness of what that color was. And
Yeah.
Jenna, the human avatar, would cease to exist
Yeah.
briefly.
Yeah.
And
I actually, when I close my eyes, I still see the swirling color, but I see purple. For
you
some reason,
do.
I see purple. Yeah, even now, even if I just like my first Kundalini awakening experience was actually ever since I had that experience, I've been seeing purple here. Do you want me to share it with everyone, with the
Please
audience
do.
as well? So basically, I was working just a basic 9 to 5 job back then. It was in 2010, and I remember it was around 11 p.m. and it was still like in the winter. So um, I had to be up at like 6 a.m. So I went to bed basically, and this is when I had a normal sleeping routine. I don't know, but I was in bed and I remember laying there, and I think sometimes when we're in bed trying to sleep or meditating without realizing that we are. But this
Mm,
happened to me before I even knew what a Kundalini was, right? So
mhm.
basically, I'm laying in bed and I'm just trying to sleep. I'm not that tired, but all of a sudden, with my eyes closed, I could see a small little purple ball, like right in the center of all the darkness you usually see when you're trying to sleep. And every time I would inhale, it would get a little bigger. And I was like, what's going on here? But every time I'd inhale, it would kept growing and growing and growing. And all of a sudden, something popped. Like I can, it's almost like if you blew up a purple water balloon, and it reached a certain size, and all of a sudden it just popped, and then all of a sudden I just seen this purple energy all over. Like instead of black, it was just completely purple. And then for about what I estimate was about between 45 minutes to around an hour. I was just in this void. Like I were identified with my body at all. This is while I'm just laying in bed. I was in this void, and all of a sudden, that blue being who I've had contact with manifested himself. He stood like this was the second time he'd visited me, because the first time was a few weeks before that. Like he'd manifest his body and then dissolve it and then appear like on the other side of the room, and then he just kept like, I think he was there to help facilitate what was going on.
Hold
You
on,
know,
hold on, hold on. This is a blue man?
yeah,
This is
Bloomer.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
He just kind of like popped in there. We were like talking about like you being immersed in purple. Is this a blue
yeah,
man that visits you often? Like is he like a
yeah,
homeboy
yeah.
of yours? Tell me about
The
him.
blue man, the blue guy is actually Ray. I call him Ray because he's a Blu-ray, a Blu-ray being, and that's where the name Ray Ray actually comes from, because it's a collaboration between me and him, me and my future self, basically. Because
Oh.
I channel him a lot. Basically, he's come to me on a few occasions now. He came to me a few days ago in a dream as well. But yeah, during this Kundalini awakening experience, especially, he was there to help facilitate, help me to like. I think he was there to help me really. What's the word I'm looking for? Acclimate to those new energies, to that new
Mm,
vibration. Because a Kundalini awakening can be a real upheaval of your energy body, of all levels of your being. And
right.
I honestly think I was activated by extraterrestrial beings. To be honest, I
You're
do.
not the only person that I've heard
Mm,
say that
yeah,
that that's
I think
happened.
I've had DNA upgrades and stuff as a result of my
Mm,
connection. I think my future self has come back in time and activated me. I think that's what's happened.
wow.
So yeah, because remember what I said to you before, my first Kundalini awakening experience, well, it was actually triggered by looking at the Sirius star.
Right.
That's when I began to feel the energy in my spine. But I think on this second occasion, it actually reached my third eye. The Kundalini. It reached my
Mm,
third eye, and that's why I had that popping experience with all that purple energy. And
right.
yeah, I was in another dimension while he was there. He was just appearing all around me. But anyway, I kept having visions of UFOs flying past me and everything. It was crazy. Like, yeah, I could, well, after that experience, I opened my eyes in the room, and my entire body was just sweaty, like so sweaty. I had no idea how much time had actually passed by until I looked at the clock, which was around an hour or so. And I had to get a shower after it because I was just sweating all over. Because I weren't identified with my body in the void. Like I went into some like timeless void. It was just crazy. Oh, like so.
It was Dolores Cannon, wasn't it, that said, and I know we've talked about her among others that we're inspired by, but I believe it was Dolores Cannon that mentioned that, in the ascension process, in the awakening process, we have to go through it in phases
Yeah.
because if we do it all at once, our 3D human body will literally like disintegrate
Well, I mean,
because
because
of that.
there's so much trauma in us as a
Right.
result of basically every human being is a storehouse for the collective unconscious of humanity, the collective trauma. When we're misaligned, we channel that. We actually, that's why people are just, when they misalign, they act in ways that are insane because they're reflecting the collective unconscious of humanity. So basically, everyone is doing their part in transmuting that, and it has to come up in waves. Yeah, it has to come up in
Mm.
waves because we can't do it all at once.
Right. There's like a period of like that reaching that threshold, like you did with that purple water balloon experience, where it pops and it's kind of uncomfortable and crazy. And you have like a hot sweat moment and you're like, what the fuck just happened to me? And then there's like a period of integration where it's like, okay, now I'm going to like settle into this new state of beingness and get comfortable ish with it, I mean, it's always a state of awakening is never done at just once. It's always in phases.
Of course, it's a process, and I think it's a process of really peeling away those linear space time illusions, really. And that's my passion, really, is to
Mm.
help people go beyond time in their perception, go beyond the idea, the construct of linear space and time, which is also intrinsically connected to the illusion of separation, too. Because really
Mm.
people only believe they're separate because of that illusion that we're all separate entities when we're actually one. In consciousness, there is no time. We're all timeless. But like what I also wanted to say though was as a result of that experience where my third eye popped open, ever since then, if I close my eyes, even right now I can see purple. I've been seeing it
Now
since.
that's just a natural
Yeah,
state
it's just
of
always there.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. But
it's
it
always
wasn't there
there.
before. It wasn't
No,
there
no,
before.
no.
Wow. That's a very like, I mean, I'm not going to call it a physical sensation because I feel it is extra sensory in nature,
I
but it is,
actually I don't know exactly why I'm seeing this purple. It's almost like a flame. It's almost
yeah,
like the way if you light a flame on a candle, the way it moves,
that's a really
like
good
that.
description of it.
A
Yeah.
lot of people talk about the violet flame, don't they? Have you heard about that? I think that's
I
maybe
haven't.
that's what I'm seeing. To be honest, the violet flame
Mhm.
is actually yeah, it's
the the flame, that's a really good description of the texture and the I guess you could just say the consistency and texture of the color blue that I used to see as a
yeah,
child, and it went dormant in me for a long time because obviously, when I'm daydreaming in class and I have no idea what is going on around me and my environment, I got in trouble. Like,
yeah,
I would get reprimanded all the time in school for things like that, just not paying attention, not being clued into my surroundings. But um when I would see that blue and I was in my daydream dreamscape, it looked like flame, like the way in which it flickers
do you see it
and the
now?
way it ripples.
Do you see it nowadays, though?
I do, because
Wow.
since you and I connected, I do see it. I told you that. I was like,
Yeah.
this shit's weird, Ray Ray. Like, I haven't seen this for a long time. I even forgot that I used to see it at all.
Whoa.
And now it's like back, and I'm like, oh shit, like I remember that now. And it's like bringing up all of these like memories, like some of them repressed, some of them like I had forgotten that had happened. And
Yeah.
yeah, it brought on like a whole slew of my own ascension symptoms and, oh,
Yeah.
an awakening, another awakening for me. And I honestly, I had prayed for that. I had prayed for that because I've been very rooted in my like divine masculine. I've been building a business. I was told by many of my employers that I was a bit of an airy fairy. Like, I'm a very creative person, and they would hire me for as somewhat of a muse, but they would want me to, be their social media manager also, which is a very like left-brained,
Yeah. Yeah.
stay on business, stay on task, and follow this protocol kind of an energy frequency that I've been very rooted in that for a while now, and it kind of put me out of sync with a lot of my divine feminine creative gifts. And so I had prayed for that, and because I felt like I had lost touch with my reason for coming into this work in the first place, why I wanted to connect with other spirit led creators, because
Hmm.
they light me up. People like you and what you do have always lit me up, and I've always gotten ignited by the work that you do, and it serves as inspiration for me in the work that I do. But I had lost my way I'll say, for a brief moment in time, I'd gotten bogged down in the details of what it takes to build a business that I know that you're very aware of. You have your own business now, and you're charging for readings. Like, you've done this for a lot longer than you've had it as a business, but it's yeah, like it what this intersect of our soul signatures has provided me it's really opened up my landscape,
Well, that's
I'm
good. I'm
seeing
glad.
that blue again. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's crazy though. You should meditate, by the way, on that blue.
I
Just sit there.
will.
You just sit there, right? Just sit there, meditate, and obviously have your awareness here at the point between the eyebrows, and just try and keep yourself as still as possible. Even your eyeballs, this is something people overlook. If you can keep your eyeballs completely still while meditating, you'll actually be able to focus and go straight into that blue energy. Sometimes
Hmm.
when I'm meditating,
Hmm.
what I actually see, this is crazy. I actually see like the third eye actually has a form. By the way, it actually has a. But when you see it in its like totality, you see it like with as a circle with another circle enclosed in it and a 5 pointed star in the middle. That's actually the star of Bethlehem that led the three
Okay.
wise men to Christ. It wasn't a star in the sky. It was the third eye. It was their intuition that helped them find them. It's a symbol, because. But anyway,
That's
when
so
I'm
cool.
when I'm meditating, like I see like a green halo, and in the middle is that purple, like in a ball, and in the center of that ball, I see just a little shiny spark of light. I don't see it as a 5 pointed star yet, but I do get the feeling that that's what it is. So I'm seeing basically the Christ eye. That's what it is. The Christ intelligence is here within each and every one of us. And Yogananda, who's one of my teachers,
Hmm.
Paramahansa Yogananda, he says that the color of the Christ is actually blue.
Hmm.
Right, the Christ energy is blue. So you're seeing, I do believe, the Christ energy there between your eyebrows. I don't know what I'm seeing, but that's the Christ energy. I do see blue, by the way. Sometimes I see like a really astral blue, like even with my eyes open, I'll see blue flashes of light around me, like or blue orbs as well, flying all around me. When I'm doing spiritual practices, that could be when I'm doing the rosary or mantras or anything like that. Like I start to see blue flashes of light everywhere too. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I went and hopped over into the comments. I clicked on something and it brought up sound on another screen. So my apologies for that, everybody. But I wanted to say hi to those who've joined us live, Ray Ray. It looks like Elizabeth is in the room with us, and I
Oh,
wanted to
hi,
tell her
Elizabeth.
hi. Ray Ray and Elizabeth, they went live. It was last week, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing live. Y'all go check that out, because like they dive deep too. Like I was there's been a lot of really amazing intersections as a result of there's been a lot of cosmic I would say like cosmic phenomenons happening lately. Would you agree with that, Ray Ray?
I
You were the
think
one that clued me into that.
Well, I think we're going to see an acceleration of that with Saturn moving into Pisces, especially. Pisces represents the unseen. It represents other dimensions. It
Mm,
represents the dream world, for example. Like that night that I had that lucid dream with you, that was the night Saturn moved into Pisces, the most lucid
okay.
dream. So
Yes.
that was maybe my body interpreting that shift collectively by
Got it.
giving me a super super lucid dream, because Pisces is the dream world as well.
Yeah,
So
I'm a Pisces. I mean, I've
exactly.
always I'm close to the cusp of Pisces and Aries, and I have a lot of Aries in my chart, as you already
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I've always identified as the Pisces. I'm very creative. I'm very watery, and
Yeah,
I'm
and I mean, you
emotional.
are you are Pisces, definitely.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, this is like my time for sure. And like there's a lot at play. There was a Piscean full moon. Or what was it, a Pisces full moon? I think it was
I think, yeah, a
recently.
few days ago, yeah, it was, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it
Yeah,
was,
and I mean, yeah, with the Soul Tingle, I that's gonna be on my birthday coming up on
yeah,
Saturday.
yeah.
That's exciting. Like there's been a lot going on in this Piscean season. And yeah, I'm really excited about everything. There was something that happened with Saturn too. What was that? Tell us more.
Yeah, I just told you that Saturn moved into Pisces.
Saturn moved into
Yeah,
Pisces. That's
yeah.
right. That's right. You did
But
just say
Pluto was
that.
about to enter into Aquarius as well,
Okay.
and that's
And
a big shift because Pluto is the outermost planet. Remember, so
right.
whenever Pluto changes sign, collectively it means like big, big things. Like the last time Pluto entered into Aquarius, right? I think the Renaissance happened. You
The
know, in
what did
Europe.
now?
You know, the Renaissance, which was like a rebirth of like enlightenment and stuff like that. Like
Okay.
so. I mean, I mean, we could talk for hours on how Pluto could potentially affect mankind. At the moment, I'm just seeing, with everyone so confused about their gender identity nowadays and stuff like that.
Right.
I think this is a little bit of a preview of what's going to happen during Pluto and Aquarius.
Hmm.
We possibly could see even more of that occur, to be honest. But at the same time, it's Pluto, and Pluto destroys. So I think maybe Pluto's got to help destroy those illusions within certain individuals. We're seeing so many people now come out speaking up against the woke culture, people who actually have a brain between their ears,
Hmm.
coming out and speaking up against that now because it's an ideology that's being pushed upon everybody, and that needs to change. And I think Pluto and Aquarius over time will sort that out for
Yeah,
sure.
this is
But those,
another
I mean, I've got
right.
nothing against people who are trans or gay or bisexual or anything like that. That's whatever they want to do is fine. But like pushing this ideology on kids, especially, is just not right. And at the same time, it's almost as if now these people have more privileges than we do.
Right.
They're talking about equality, but like what I found that is true with humanity is whenever something new is implemented into society, first we tend to go to extremes. We're an extremist society, right? So I think what's going to happen is obviously people can still identify as a piece of broccoli if they want. They can do whatever they want. It's fine, but at the same time, we're going to find a more balanced approach to that.
Right.
Which isn't creating such confusion on a mass level, basically.
Hmm.
And I
I
think
think
Pluto will help
coming
us do that.
as a woman from the deep south of the United States, and Elizabeth, I know that you can probably relate to me on this. Being from Georgia, we have that in common, being from the deep south, so we can see from this perspective. And I wanted to give a shout out to Sharon, who's in the room with us, as well as Alex. Thank you. I haven't looked at the other platforms, just my own group, Interconnected Collective. But thank you guys for joining us live. It's awesome to be here with you. But just being a woman from the deep south, I remember growing up in a world, in a school where it was not okay to even be homosexual. Like that
Yeah.
was not okay.
Hmm.
And you were subject to not just bullying, but in certain places that some of my family even still live in like East Texas, Piney Woods area. Like, they still do lynchings out there, and they still do lots of there's like Ku Klux Klan meetings and stuff out in
Insane. It's
parks.
insane.
Yeah, it
It's
is. I mean, there is insanity that was sprung from this perspective. And but I think some this way in which you and I see eye to eye, Ray Ray, is that we're able to kind of elevate above into this bird's eye view of the entire landscape of humanity, and we're able to really see with discernment when there's other powers at play, and they're manipulative. There is a
yeah,
manipulative aspect that's taking hold in the mainstream media, and in our public education system, in our religions. And there I went down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory early on in my awakening process, and I
we've all been there. Don't worry.
but it's important to remember that there are powers that should not be in this world, and they're extracting this state of us, our compassion, in knowing that it's not okay to treat people badly the way that I grew up seeing them
Yeah,
treat homosexuals. And they use that against our own collective psyche, and they turn it on its head and swing the pendulum in the opposite direction.
exactly.
And this fucked up version of it feels like a gaslighting kind of
Under the
yeah,
guise of equality,
under the
and
guise of equality.
under the
Thank
guise
you.
of equality and sexual equality,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to sexuality, we're seeing
Right.
this is why, and Pluto represents sexuality as well. Okay, so Pluto going into Aquarius is a big thing.
Interesting. I
So,
didn't
like,
know that about Pluto.
if you speak up against anything about this woke culture now, you were instantly labeled as transphobic, right?
Right.
Instantly, and know what the crazy thing is? So many in the trans community, again, nothing against trans people, not transphobic at all,
Right.
okay? But at the same time, like, so many trans people and people in the trans community are attacking people
Mhm.
nowadays. Like, this woman on TikTok from the UK. She's a Islamic lady, a Muslim lady, and she's just posts funny videos and stuff. And one time she made like a video about some trans guy who's trying to basically groom young kids into learning about sexuality way before they should be able to do that. Like it's
Right.
actually disgusting what he's doing. And other TikTokers as well have spoken out against him. I'm not going to name them here, but anyway, after she posted that video saying, I don't want you teaching my kids that bullshit and stuff, right? Like, literally, she got death threats. She got emails saying that we're gonna come and steal your kids, and
Right.
everything. And then she had to make an apology video on TikTok where she was crying, right?
Mhm.
Crying her eyes out, saying, "Please don't come and get my kids and stuff." Like, the trans community did that to her. They attacked her in such a violent way.
I think
And
it's really important though.
but
It's
it's
like,
okay for but is it okay for them to do it because they're the minority?
but I think it's important to point out that it's not it, the way it's positioned is that it is the trans community doing that, right? But what I believe is that it's this kind of invisible force behind that's backing the trans community into this place of feeling empowered in and of themselves, because they're coming from this place of always feeling disempowered. And so there's that manipulation, and
Yeah, of
there's that
course.
gaslighting, and it's not really the trans community that's doing this. It's this unseen anonymous power that should not be, that is bolstering. And they've done it to others too, Ray Ray. They've done it
Yeah,
to
other
the other
communities as
side of
well.
the pendulum too,
Yeah,
where they've
yeah,
bolstered those who were the trans, those who would be against this, and they've given them that false sense of self-empowerment, and that they are better than others, that they can like step up and threaten and be belligerent in this way. And all it really serves to do is create this discord and this disconnect
More
for
separation, more
humanity.
separation. It's
Right.
fracturing society even more.
Right.
Like even the Black
Mhm.
Lives Matters movements. Again, not racist at all. Some of my closest friends are black. No,
Yeah.
no issue there.
Same
But
here.
at the same time, it's creating more and more discord. Like I'm seeing nowadays people being given lofty positions in the media simply as a result of their race or their gender or their gender identity, not
Right.
because of their merits. Not they're not getting these positions as a result of their merit. They're getting them by default because they're of a different race or of a
Mhm.
that's not right in my opinion.
Right.
People should be
I
given,
agree.
so should be rewarded things as a result of the things they achieve. It doesn't matter to me whether they're black, they're white, they're Arabic, or whatever. If they're good enough and they're skilled enough to do something, they deserve that position. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter where they're born.
Right.
But we're going into an age now where, under the guise of equality, and it seems to be people like me, especially male, white, normal, straight guy, who seems to be now underprivileged more than most other people nowadays.
Mhm.
Because
I
I'm
think
just
that
I'm just your
it's
basic, I'm just your basic, white guy, in the
right.
sense of,
It's
I.
almost yeah,
Mm,
I've heard that. I've heard that people like even over here in Texas, there's been a dialogue that, people who are white are void of a culture. Like we don't have a culture. Like there's you don't have, and that's bullshit, frankly, because I've done my family tree. I have a heritage. I have a galactic heritage also that Ray Ray could tell me all about.
yeah.
But it to even like spin a dialogue like that, if you use your discernment and your extrasensory spidey senses, you will tap into a deeper thread of a malicious and it's not a heart-centered energy
No, no.
that's being
It's
spun here to create that discord and that dissonance between humanity. And but it's done under the guise that we're empowering people. And keep in mind, it's over the span of generations. So one human lifetime is not enough for a point of reference to see the entire scope of the agenda that's being executed here,
They've done it with religion. They've done
Right.
it with all sorts. Even the vegan movements,
Right.
to some
Right.
degree. Again, if
I
you want to
I
be
went down
vegan,
that rabbit hole
e-
too.
even
I was
if you want,
yeah.
if you want to be vegan, that's fine. Again, no issue. I'm not a vegan. I'm not
Mm,
vegan phobic. But even that, there's so many systems in place nowadays in our society which are just creating more separation, more fractures, and making us seem as if we're all different. When at the end of the day, the fundamental thing we all have in common is that we're consciousness, and
yes, absolutely.
consciousness expresses itself in a multitude of ways. And again, consciousness can express itself as a trans man, a trans woman,
Mhm.
as a black man, a white man, as someone who's vegan, someone who's vegetarian, somebody who's just a fruitarian. They're all fine, but at the same time, taking power from one group and giving it to another is not equality.
Mhm.
So you're disempowering, and that's what they're doing. They're disempowering one group and giving power to another.
Right.
And really, it's an illusion of power anyway.
It's publicly sanctioned. So, and there's so much brainwashing that's happening in the mainstream media. It's been really painful for me to even, in watch my own extended family be subjected to it. It's
Yeah,
become insidious in how it's wormed its way into the human psyche. And even listening to, I think he was a computer engineer or a computer scientist. I forget his name, but he was like in front of an entire room full of these brilliant computer engineers, scientists, AI specialists, and Silicon Valley, I think, and he was talking about how hackable the human brain is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, man, like, do you, but no one wants to admit that their brain's hackable, that they are, that they're potentially, that they could be infiltrated with nonsense and like be ascribing to something that is that's not rooted in truth. It's rooted in an agenda that's not serving to them.
And how are they doing it? Social media.
Right.
That's how they're doing it. Because
I
look like
know.
I was looking on Instagram yesterday, and sometimes I get caught down the rabbit hole. Still, I can admit it, where you're just on the reels and you're like,
I
there.
know, me too.
And I actually realized something. Realized, pun intended, while I was watching the reels. Right, I
I
realized something.
realized.
Yeah, I realized that 95% of this shit that I'm watching is completely useless. It's absolute garbage. What the hell? But I know that that is programming me. You are what you eat. Really, you are what you eat actually means is you are what you consume.
Yeah,
The media you consume as well programs you, in your
exactly.
mind. And honestly, I am deleting. Well, I've been deleting the apps off my phone
Hmm.
just so I am not subject to that temptation of just fucking scrolling through TikTok or whatever. Like most of the videos are garbage, but I found this may blow your mind because it blew my mind when I realized it. The assimilation of knowledge, right, that you get really determines your spiritual advancement, in my opinion. So if you
Hmm.
like read something that's really like profound, like maybe some teaching of Yogananda, and you put it into practice, you assimilate it and you embody that knowledge, and then the experience you gain as a result of embodying that knowledge becomes wisdom because you've experienced it for yourself. Yeah, that's
Right.
true wisdom, the assimilation of knowledge and your ability or capacity in order to be able to assimilate the knowledge that you consume, you know, in a sense does show your advancement, in my opinion. But what
Mm.
we're getting on these phones now is just an overload of knowledge.
Yeah.
So it can be like Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan, or it can be even me saying something to you on a minute long video or whatever. Like if you're constantly just consuming all of this knowledge but not
Right.
assimilating it, it's going to give you a false sense of knowledge. So it actually creates vanity within you because you think
Right.
that you know something that you actually don't know. Because to know is to do. Okay,
Mm.
like doing and knowing is synonymous. Like
It's
just
kind
because
of impossible to assimilate all of that
exactly,
content.
it's
It's
not possible
impossible.
because there's that much. You're being
Yeah.
over. That's why I said it's an overload of
An
knowledge.
overload,
So
like
so it's
way
not
overload.
health. It's not healthy.
Right.
That's not healthy. If I said to you, okay, you've got to read the Bible non-stop from now, just read the entire thing non-stop. 99.9% of that information you read in the Bible, you would have forgot about within like a year.
Yeah.
Right? Like it would just be gone. I done it once. Yogananda's got a book called The Second Coming of Christ. The
Yeah.
Return of the Christ Within You. It's like 1,400 pages long. It's in 2 volumes. I
I've
read the
only read
entire
the
thing.
autobiography. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to check
but
that one out.
no, but I read the entire thing from cover to cover, non-stop. It took me like 3 months.
Hmm.
I didn't assimilate any of that knowledge, not one bit,
Really?
like nothing, because it was just too much. Books like that, you're meant to read a bit, put it aside, practice it, realize it, meditate on it. That's what you're actually meant to do with sacred texts. You're meant to assimilate it
Yeah.
in just little chunks, little bit by bit. That's why the Bible, even, it's in small little chapters, isn't it? Matthew 1, Matthew 2. You're meant to go through the chapters one at a time, try and assimilate what happened, see the deep allegorical meanings behind it, and so on and so forth. But like we're just getting overloaded with all of this bullshit online, and
Yeah.
it's creating this kind of society that thinks it's waking up, even though
Yeah.
many people are waking up, but some people just aren't, and they think that they are. And
I
yeah,
what I've noticed with myself, because I'm on social media so much, I mean, I think that there is an extreme potential for up leveling your consciousness through the integration of what it is you're able to access through social media. I know because it's something that I went through personally. I was
yeah,
isolated out here. I was a barefoot fucking hippie out here in Central Texas. Like
yeah.
I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have any kind of like connection to social media. I used to like laugh at all of the college kids with the phone in their face, like on the bus,
Mm,
and like they weren't looking at the world around them. And I was jumping in the river every day, and I was immersing myself in nature. And now it's kind of ironic because I kind of fell away from all of that because after my brother passed, I found myself so isolated in needing to connect with others who had not just experienced what I had experienced, but who had that wisdom, who had encountered a deeper trench, a deeper understanding of the knowledge that you're talking about,
mm,
that I wasn't able to get in just my immediate geographical environment.
yeah.
And so I had to take a deep dive into the virtual landscape, as I call it, and
Hmm.
it opened up so much for me. The potential is there for like
Absolutely.
amazing up levelings, but the
Abs-
potential is also there for like real depths and depravity also. It's like the spectrum extends in both directions very, very far.
it's the extremist nature of humanity, like I said. And again, social media is fine in of itself. It's how you
Mm,
use it that counts. And
yes.
I'm just finding that scrolling down people's timelines and stuff, scrolling down
Right.
timelines is not good for you. Just if you're
Yeah.
going to use social media, just get on it, connect with whoever you need to. If you've got goals or that you need to achieve on social media, get them done, and then just fucking put it aside for a bit and just live
Mhm.
your life. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, some balance needs to be achieved. Like I took a hike just the other day and it was a much needed hike. Like I hadn't been
just
out
turn your
in
phone off.
nature.
Just turn off the phone and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
reconnect. It's amazing. Like sometimes I get really tempted, really, really tempted, and I'm not. I've got no shame saying this to just delete everything. You know,
I
literally.
think
I
we've all done
because
it like once
no,
or
no, but
twice,
no,
Ray
but just to
Ray.
delete everything and to just
Yeah.
live a nice, peaceful, and quiet life. But I can't. I actually
No,
can't because one, I know I've got an important message to share with the world,
you
but
do.
you've got to assimilate it slowly, guys. Okay, but the part two is really I can't survive without this. My business is online. The readings I do and everything pay for me my rent. They pay for my food. So like I'm kind of stuck with it. But again, it's just about finding a more balanced approach. And yeah, scrolling through in those reels, especially, is what's programming people, in my opinion.
I think you're
Absolutely.
graced with it. You're not stuck with it, you're graced with it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah, you're
think
right.
that
That's a good redefinition. You're right.
you are and they're graced with it too. Those who have the privilege of crossing paths with you and getting a reading from you, it has the potential to change their lives, and it's changed your life as well. So while the potential is there for that, that deep dive into the depravity, it really is just it's a testament to when there are extreme heights that we are able to scale. There's also major depths that we can fall to, and
Absolutely.
I think that's just the way of the world. It's the
Yeah.
way of every dimensional timeline. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, because every wave has a corresponding trough.
Right.
What goes up must come down. So Yeah, that's just the nature of reality. Even like, for example, you feel happy one time, you know you're going to experience the opposite emotion eventually. You know, your
Mm-hmm.
state of being is constantly shifting as well. So that's what I've found that in the yoga practice and the meditation that I've done over the years has helped me to be more balanced between both. So whenever something amazing happens, don't be overly excited, but also
Mm,
whenever something dreadful happens, don't be overly, devastated. Just try and stay calm and centered in the middle. And that's really what Buddha
right.
was talking about as well. The middle path, the middle way. Really, it's just to stay. It's really to see everything in an even-minded way. Because
Right. I
ultimately,
agree.
yeah,
Well, this has been amazing, Ray Ray. I hope that we can do it again. I think that I feel like the planets are aligning for a whole lot more cosmic collaborations between the two of us. It's
absolutely.
it's really lining up for just a whole lot is paving our way to, just really amazing things are unfolding for us both. And I'm just really excited for, I mean, your group and my group aligning together. I'm excited for you being a contributor in the very first Soul Tingle in 4 days. This is going to be the very first of many quarterly events every solstice and equinox, that there are
Yeah,
going to be spirit led leaders that will be joining in a collaborative shared space. It's a summit style event that others like Ray Ray here are going to be coming together in a co-creation, that's it's going to be with the intention of bringing together spirit-led leaders and spirit-led seekers, so that all are able to, really find exactly what they're looking for with intentionality in the virtual landscape. That is my vision, that's my goal, that's my dream. So thank you for helping to make it a reality for me. I'm
you're
really
welcome.
excited. Thank you for joining me today, Ray Ray. I wanted to also give you the
Thanks for
opportunity.
having me.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us. We have about, let's see, 3 more minutes. Tell us about your book, Labyrinth. That I know that you and I had a little chat about. I'm really kind of excited to dive deep into
Well,
that.
I
I
mean, the
haven't touched
labyrinth, yeah,
yet.
the labyrinth is all about really freeing your perception from other people's belief systems.
Mm,
Because I grew up believing I was something and someone I'm not as a result of my interactions with society. And a lot of the work that I've had to do over the years after my Kundalini awakening was to rid my perception of other people's beliefs about me. And really, that's what inspired me to write that book, The Labyrinth, Rewiring the Nodes in the Maze of Your Mind, because I've had to do the work of freeing my own perception to discover who I truly am. And I want to help other people do the same because ultimately, like I said earlier, we do have the collective unconscious residue within us. And sometimes that means other people's belief systems as well are hijacking our perception, not only of ourselves, but also our reality. So we're not really perceiving things as they are, we're perceiving things, in conjunction with other people's perception. So
hmm.
really, the book is all about that, but it's all about as well connecting to the source within you and so on and so forth. Because I liken the human condition unto a labyrinth, unto a maze, really. Because we lose ourselves in that, and
Mm,
it's only when you get to the center of that labyrinth, in the center of your being, that you actually can see that residue spinning around you. So it's kind of like the power of now in the sense. There's a lot of mindfulness techniques and stuff in it, but yeah, it's about the integration of fear-based and limiting beliefs ultimately. So do check that out.
wow, it's really, it kind of aligns the entire conversation that we've just had.
Oh yeah, definitely, because everything ultimately is belief systems, and
Yeah.
this whole, basically the powers that be that we've been speaking about, who obviously aren't coming from a heart centered place at the moment, trying to influence society in certain ways. Ultimately, it's a battle for your perception, right?
Hmm.
Because your beliefs create your reality. Your beliefs determine what timeline you shift to at any given moment. So if you can control what people believe, you control them.
Right,
So if you
exactly.
can, so if you can learn how to readjust and realign your perception, you'll be free of that influence.
That's amazing. Well, we're
And
gonna
that's why
drop
I
a
wrote that.
link. How can people get your book, Ray Ray?
Oh, it's on nearly every book website: Barnes and Nobles, Waterstones, Amazon. It's all over the place.
Okay, we're gonna drop a link for it.
Just type in Ray Ray the Labyrinth, and you'll find it.
We'll drop a link for it in the comments so
Yeah.
that we'll make it easy for you.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
All right, Ray Ray, it's been amazing. Seriously, amazing.
Yeah, it
All
has. Thank
right.
you.
So much love to you, dear. Have a great one. Thank you all for tuning in.